Welcome to Heroes First Podcast, sponsored by Fund the First, the nation's leading verified crowdfunding platform for first responders, military, and medical professionals. And now, your host, broadcasting from Long Island, New York, Robert Garland.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining this week's episode of Heroes First Podcast. Each week, you will hear from a new guest that portrays excellence in the first responder, military, or medical professional field. If you are an active or retired member of the service, or even a family member or a friend, then this show is for you. Our podcast is also proud partners with the Everyday Heroes Podcast Network and the Law Enforcement Today Podcast Network. I would like to now present to you our guest for episode 14 of this podcast series, Patrick Fitzgibbons. Pat, how are you?
Hey, brother. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be on your show. Appreciate being here.
It's more of an honor to have you on the show.
I appreciate that.
You got a nationally syndicated radio show, podcast, CJ Evolution. CJ, I'm assuming, is criminal justice, right?
Yeah, it's criminal justice evolution. And yeah, I started it about 5.5 years ago, and it's just been rocking along.
That's awesome. That's really great. So what made you start your show?
You know, that's a great question. I was, still on the job. I was a cop for about 23 years. And I remember about 5 years ago, I was listening to a podcast, a little over 5 years ago. And I said, hey, man, I wonder if I could do that. Because at the time, there wasn't a lot of cops or first responders doing that in that space. And I remember, because I, voracious listener of a variety of podcasts. And I said, I'm going to try that. And I want to continue to give back to the profession that's been so good to me over the years. And so there you go. It was born. And as you can imagine, and you've been through it, brother, first couple episodes were, God, I look back and listen to that stuff and I'm like, oh, I can't believe I pushed that out. But it's a work in progress and I'm constantly learning. And the premise behind the show is to make, first responders, criminal justice community better personally and professionally. And I'm just having a great time. About 400 something episodes now.
I saw. That's incredible. That many episodes. Yeah. I'm on my way there. A couple more years.
You are, brother. And like I said, a little bit of, encouragement. You just, I always tell people, podcasting, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So it's a lot of podcasts out there, and you're probably aware of this, they kind of just die on the vine. If you go to like Apple Podcasts or Stitcher or any other platform, there's a lot of podcasts on there, but about a third of them are dead, right. 2/3 or something. So I think the average is, if people don't make it past like 25, 30 episodes, their chances are statistically it's not going to work out. But I'm not trying to, you're early on. You just got to keep plugging away, brother. You're doing a great job.
Listen, I'm booked actually all the way through August.
Oh, there you go.
I can't.
There you go.
Believe it. I can't.
It's all in, man. You got to just dive in and just kind of build that airplane when it's still in the air, if that makes sense.
No, of course. And you know what? It's a lot of fun because I like to give people a voice, and I'm in the news all the time, in the media all the time, talking about what we do at Fund the First. But, give other people a voice. A lot of people that come on the show, they're not in the news. They don't get that type of exposure. So I like to have them on, and especially having people like you on that have, great exposure already. It just opens up the community and allows for people to hear different things, different sides of stories and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So it's really great. And, you bring up a great point with the podcast. You started at an awesome time 5 years ago. Podcasts were just starting to get big then, right? And
well, podcasts have been around for a little bit longer than that, but yeah, like I said, there wasn't a lot of, first responder podcasts, criminal justice podcasts. So I took a leap of faith and, it continues to evolve, hence the name, and it continues to grow. But yeah, I just, I wanted to do it. Like I said, brother, you're driving around, you're pushing a car around at night on graveyard shift and you're listening to shows. And I was like, I wonder if I could do that. And again, I'm still learning. I tell people I'm not an expert. I'm still learning all the time. I learn something every day.
No, that's good. That's really great. So you started your career, you started your career in the Army, right?
Yeah, I was in the 82nd Airborne down at Fort Bragg years ago, probably before you were born, brother. You're a youngster. I'm old.
86. 1986.
Yeah. So I started my, not law enforcement, but I was in the military. I grew up in a military family. And so my dad was a JAG officer in the Army, then went to the Air Force. And for those of you who don't know what a JAG officer, that's basically a lawyer. It is a lawyer for the military. So I didn't go in the military right away. I didn't go until I was 21, and that's pretty old by military standards, or at least it was back in the day. But I decided I wanted to go Army, but I didn't want to do the kind of stuff my dad did. I didn't go to college right away. But I wanted to do something kind of extreme. And so I went the 82nd Airborne, jumping out of perfectly good airplanes. So I did that for a while. I'm from a family of police officers, a lot of cops in Chicago, where I think some of them are retired, but I have a lot of family that are cops in Chicago mainly, and other parts of Illinois. But I knew it was in my blood, and I wanted to continue serving when I got out of the military. So got out of the military with a young baby and my wife at the time in tow, came back to Colorado and started my journey to become a cop. And like I said, retired in 2019, distinguished career, long career, ups and downs, as you know, brother, and the listeners do. But started on patrol, detective, SWAT, all that stuff, supervisor, and retired as an operations commander, which in my department, that was in charge of all the patrol operations and stuff like that.
So you went to, I saw in your profile, you were Lamar police officer
Yeah.
in Colorado. How many officers are in that department?
It's a small department. At the time, it was about 23.
Wow.
And yeah, so it's a 23. So it was, I grew up in Denver for the most part. And so, I was going, a buddy called me up who got hired down in Lamar, and he was like, man, you got some spots open. And I was like, well, the hell am I want to go? It's like it's like a cow community. It's like, agriculture and shit like that. What do I want to go down there?
Yeah.
And he said, man, it's hopping down here. He's been down there for like 6 months. And I was like an adrenaline junkie. I just got out of the Army. I was like, okay, I'll do it. And so I took the first job that I got offered, and that was to move my family to southeastern Colorado, which was about 2.5, 3 hours away from Denver. And I got there and I was like, come on, this is not going to be, I'm telling you, that was one of the busiest departments that I ever worked for. I worked in 2 departments, so really not even I had another department after that to compare to, but it was a busy department. We'd have homicides and lots of drugs because it's a lot, it's right on the border right there of Oklahoma and Kansas. Homicides, you name it. So I really got to experience a lot of different areas in law enforcement in the time I was down there, and just become, especially, and probably this, in smaller departments, you become more, in my opinion, versatile, because we don't have specialized divisions. We don't have like a homicide unit or crime scene unit, specialized. I mean, so you were that. And if we have a homicide, you're working the case probably. I mean, we have detectives, but you're doing some of the crime scene stuff. So got a lot of experience there. Worked in the corporate field. I kind of got recruited. I went back to college and got my master's degree, and kind of got recruited through my network to work private security here in, the Front Range in Colorado, in Louisville, where I worked and retired from. Did that for about 6 months or 8 months. And I was like, screw this. I don't like this. So I found my way back into law enforcement, and again, did it for a little over 10 years or 12 years, 13 years, and then retired, from law enforcement. And like I said, it was a great ride.
It's funny talking to guys of smaller departments. They're always like, oh, you're NYPD. It's awesome. You're such a big department. There's so many things going on. You probably see everything. And listen, I in 13 years, I've run a crazy career, especially being in narcotics in Lower Manhattan for 6 of my years. It's been quite insane. But I say to a lot of people, you got to hand it to these smaller departments, just like you said.
Yeah.
There's so many things going on that they have to handle everything.
Yeah.
Think about it. When we make a drug arrest, someone's going to be doing transport for us, and someone's going to be vouchering. Someone's going to be doing, if there's any crime scene investigation. There's all different things going on, and everybody's doing it. There's all hands on. Yeah. But like you said, you're doing all of that at once. And it's a lot to take on.
Yeah, and most departments, as you know, brother, I mean, most departments are about 100, 200 or less in the country. That's not every department is an NYPD, LAPD, Chicago PD. I think NYPD, has 30-something thousand cops, and or so with all the stuff going on, probably not anymore. But yeah, you're right. Now I have a buddy who used to work in Denver PD, and he would tell me, I get an accident, I call an accident cop. I get a domestic, I call a domestic cop. I mean, he could help if he wanted to, but it was all different types of units. He was on patrol. That's all he did. Call, which, people like that. I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying that when I was like drinking from the fire hose in a small department, it was like, okay, grab this shit, do that. You're going to be dusting for prints. You're going to be pulling this, photography, all that stuff. And I was just like immersed in that stuff for so many years, where I became like, what do they say? A jack of all trades and master of none kind of thing. And it really benefited me, because I talked to buddies in small and some bigger agencies, and not all big agencies are like this, but they don't know how to write a warrant. They don't know how to write a search warrant. They don't know how to do a non-testimonial warrant and stuff like that. So again, there's pros and cons to different, agencies. Now, the big thing about NYPD, you get the resources, man. You get the money. Got the helicopters and shit.
Yeah. Something I never had the privilege of riding. I'm scared shitless of them. I won't even get in one.
But all law enforcement, just you know this, and for your listener, I mean, they're doing a tremendous job, especially in these turbulent times. And God bless them all, because it is definitely a different environment since I left in the short time I've been gone since 2019.
Man, I mean, we'll obviously stay away from politics, but what's going on right now is, I mean, again, just now there was a cop shot in the head in Texas.
Yeah, it's horrible.
A couple of hours ago. We're reading about this every single day, and it's, unfortunately, it does have to do a lot with the politics. But like I said, we won't get into it.
It does.
But it's just really, really, really unfortunate.
No,
and it's horrible. I'll give a quick tidbit of something going on. There was a cop that was killed. I won't say where, I won't say when, but we have this platform of fundthefirst.com, and when a tragedy arises, we try to be there to help them no matter what. Just to let them know that our platform is here to offer assistance if you want to do a fundraiser for the family, if the family wants to do one, whatever it may be, because there are a lot of scams and fraud out there. And unfortunately, when you see one of these tragedies happen, what do you see within an hour?
Fundraising or something coming on social media or something like that.
Someone's doing something, but you're looking at it and you're saying, well, who's the people raising these money? If it's going to the family. So, like I said, long story short, this department that had something happen, the FBI had to step in and shut down 6 campaigns. This is recent. 6. Horrible.
For fraudulent or probably nefarious reasons or something.
Fraudulent. But it happens every single time.
It does. But, brother, there's always going to be, unfortunately, this, there's always going to be people like that trying to take advantage. We saw a little bit of that with the Boulder tragedy here, recently, a couple of weeks ago, where I saw the same thing, all these GoFundMe things, popping up. Maybe not GoFundMe, but I know what you mean, like these different things popping up all over on social media. And I'm the same way, I'm like kind of skeptical. I'm not saying everything's, not on the up and up. I'm just saying you got to look at this stuff sometimes with a skeptical eye and say, just follow the money. Where's it going?
Exactly. Where's it going? And that's why verification is so important.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we have. We do that for every single campaign. We verify everybody to make sure that it's going to the right sources. But just to backtrack for a second, again, what's happening right now, it's horrible. And it's not only the shootings, it's the stabbings, it's everything. Crime is rampant.
And I agree with you. And like you said, I think a lot of it is political. Brother, I'm older than you, but I remember a time, I'm young enough but still old enough to remember a guy by the name of Walter Cronkite. Remember that guy? You read about him. But I remember growing up when I was a kid, and remember he would come on, and I was a young kid, but I vividly remember him getting on, and he would do one thing, brother. He would just report the news. That was it.
Right.
He wasn't trying to sway you a certain way or anything like that. He would just report the facts, report the news, and then it was up to you to how you're going to interpret it and how you're going to take that and digest it and go forward with your opinions and ideas. We don't have that obviously anymore. So I think when we have media, if we have politicians on both sides to some degree, but I think when we have politicians and so-called leaders out there that are advocating for defund the police and advocating that, just resist, and some of them have, I think this is the product of that. You're going to get people. I mean, I remember I was watching, dude, what was it, last year when 2 NYPD officers got water thrown on them?
Yeah, horrible.
And I'm like, okay, I'm just, like I said, man, and I know the cops are just following their orders, but I tell you what, man, I'm just old school. That would have happened once. And I'm not trying to sound like some egotistical badass. I'm just saying you have to stand up for your troops, and you have to let them protect themselves. Mm-hmm. You have to let them take action and quit worrying about the political ramifications. Yeah. Protect the troops. That's the single biggest complaint that I hear from people is we don't think command staff has our back.
No, and it's true. And everyone, unfortunately,
I went on a rant there. I'm sorry.
But there's nothing wrong with that. That's it. People need to hear from us, and unfortunately it becomes in these scenarios, when you get into these scenarios, you become afraid to do your job.
Yeah. And that's no way to police, that.
You can't do that.
How are you going to police if you're worried about the liability? I think you should always have it in the back of your mind. Oh, okay. What about policy and procedure? Can I do this? I'm not saying to discount that, but to go to work and freak out and just be totally reactionary instead of proactive. I remember when Giuliani was there, it was totally
no proactive cops anymore.
Yeah. There's no proactive. It's just reactive. But yet crime rate still goes up. People still complain about the crime rate. And you're like, well, you're handcuffing literally speaking, handcuffing the police. They can't do anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anyway, I admire you, brother, for still being on the job and all these other people. I talk to people all the time, cops everywhere. And I could tell you, and it's sad, probably 90% of them are looking for an exit ramp. They're looking for a way out.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of punching a time clock. I'm not saying everybody out there, please don't get me wrong, but a lot of people are just, like you said, they're so kind of stifled and they're so kind of, oh, I don't want to do anything. They don't want to be on the news.
You start questioning your job.
Yeah. And it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way.
No, it really shouldn't. And it's an unfortunate time, but let's hope that things circulate again. You never know.
I hope so. I mean, law enforcement, as you probably know, it's, it's hills and, peaks and valleys.
Oh yeah. I mean, 13 years on the job has changed tenfold in that time. Tenfold. And that's not a long time.
No, it's going to continue to keep on changing, and hopefully for the better. Hopefully.
The biggest thing, we just got to have each other's backs.
Yeah, exactly.
Got to have each other's backs.
And again, when I said about command staff, I just want to clarify really quick. I'm not saying all command staff. There are some command staff out there that are good, but I have a buddy who's in California who's a chief of police. And he is a big advocate and he tells, his city council, we need to take better care of our troops. We need to listen to them. Yeah, I'm the chief of police. I'm the ultimate say. I get it. But we need to protect our troops better, not just physically, brother, that. I mean, but emotionally, and spiritually and stuff like that. We need to do a better job at, protecting and taking care of our first responders.
Oh, we need to know that people care about us.
Exactly.
It's important. It really, mental health is everything.
Yeah. And I remember, early on in my career, you get into a critical incident or something like that. It's okay, do your paperwork, back to work kind of stuff. Now I think, and again, I can't speak for every department, but I'm seeing, at least in my neck of the woods, I'm seeing a change for the better, where we're recognizing this. We have a lot of resources, again, at least where I'm at, for our officers that need help and that are crying out for help. I just, have really good friends that just responded to the Boulder incident here. We're taking rounds, just a couple of weeks ago. They pull up and bam, they're in the thick of it. And so we need to take better care of our first responders. And I think we do. I think it's changing, but we still got a lot more work to do.
Yeah. I mean, listen, there's definitely still a stigma there because people are afraid to say that they're going through something because they know that there may be potential backlash on that. And we just had it. I mean, unfortunately, we just had an NYPD inspector that, committed suicide.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's sad. And we see that all too often as well. And it's because, they may seem like they're okay, but people are holding things in and they don't know how to talk to other people because they're afraid. You become afraid of expressing your emotions because you think that there's going to be backlash. You think, okay, we're going to take away your guns right away. We're going to sideline you. You're not going to be out there. You're going to be deemed someone that's, mentally unstable. Mm-hmm. But meanwhile, everybody on earth, everyone goes through things.
They do. But here's what I say, for the people out there, first of all, people out there listening that are suffering, there's plenty of help out there. All you have to do is reach out. But then the other side of that coin, brother, is like, if you and I are really good friends and I notice something is going on, you're 1 minute, you're, oh man, let's go. Let's do it. You're very talkative and stuff like that. And then the next minute you're in a shell. Mm-hmm. I'm not just talking, everybody has a bad day, but I'm talking prolonged bad days. Then I probably have a duty, right? To tell you, man, you need to get some help, dude. I mean, but too many times in our profession, I saw this in the military too. He'll snap out of it. He'll just come out of it. Mm-hmm. And we're so afraid to, it's hard enough to get somebody to speak up and say, I need help. And I've done that. And it's tough because it's an ego check. Like you said, and you gotta just put your ego at the door. But the flip side of that, if I have good friends, which I do, that say, hey, Pat, you need to talk to somebody. And they have. You need to talk to somebody. You're not the same Pat. That's a problem. And you have a duty as a fellow officer and a friend. Oh, I'm throwing them under the bus. No, you're not. So would you rather tell somebody to get help and maybe talk to somebody and say, hey, man, I'm worried about this guy. I'll read about him in the paper or go to a funeral. Right. See, that's the stuff, man. That's the stuff that we deal with, in my opinion, as first responders, is that we're so afraid. We're really good at taking care of other people's shit. You know that. Mm-hmm. But we're really bad at a lot of times. And again, I speak from experience of, not taking care of ourselves. It's the proverbial, you've heard it. You go on a plane, the shit drops. Who do you put it on? You put it on yourself first. If you're not taking care of yourself first, how are you going to take care of everybody else? So, yeah.
And you said it best. There's so many outlets now to get help.
Yes.
So many outlets. You could call anybody. There's nonprofit organizations, there's businesses, there's everybody. I mean, your peers.
Suicidal hotlines. I mean, there's all kinds of, and there's confidential. That's the thing that people don't understand is that, well, everybody's going to find out. It's confidential. There are legal ramifications if people start rattling their mouth, but it's confidentiality. So if you need help, please, if you're listening and you're struggling with stuff, everybody struggles with stuff. You are not an island. You can't do it by yourself. I know I thought that way for a long time. Well, I'm in this badass military unit. I can take anything. You can't, it starts, we're only human. We can't take so much trauma and emotional stress. It's like a boiling pot. Sooner or later, it's going to boil over.
Yeah. Oh, you're right.
Sorry.
No, there's no reason to apologize. This is great content. That's what a podcast is all about.
Yeah.
No, this is good. I noticed you have a lot of tattoos. Let me see your sleeve.
Yeah. I'm all sleeved up right here.
I like that rose, right on. Right
roses and skulls and stuff. And then I had to get an American flag, awesome. Over here. So I'm working on this arm. I don't know if you can see it, but a military tattoo right there. But yeah, about, 4 or 5 years ago, I had a tattoo on my right arm, and I said, I just don't like that thing. So I went into the tattoo artist, and I was recommended, really good tattoo artist. And I said, I just want to get this one right here of my upper arm covered up. And sure as shit, it started gradually going down. So my wife got to a point where she was like, she took a Sharpie and she was like, you can't go by, behind this or below this line right here. And of course I did. And I was like, I've always had this, honey. You just don't pay attention to me. So no, I love tattoos, but she kind of put the kibosh on getting more. So I got to respect that.
You'll get more. I'm sure you'll get more.
Yeah, probably will.
I got a bunch. I got,
my
arm here.
Oh yeah, there you go.
On this side. Fuck my arm.
Oh yeah.
My whole arm.
I love them, man. They're addictive as hell.
Yeah.
You know that.
I consider every sitting a tattoo. So I think I sat for a sitting, oh man, I don't know, 12 times.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of ink, you covered, but I just lined up new appointments to finish this.
There you go.
Got fill in all this and I'll do the other side, but I'm big into skulls. I'm big into black and white. If you ever heard of, you ever hear of trash polka?
I think so. Yeah.
It's really good. I can't really show it on the camera, but, my left arm, actually, let's see. Can you see it?
Oh, there you go. I love that.
Yeah. So it says pain is temporary, and this is a trash polka design. So it's kind of
that is badass. I like that.
And red. Yeah, this guy Jason Barletta, he's out here. He's in Queens. Yeah, but he does awesome work.
Now I see some guy you can get in right away.
For me.
Well, for you, I remember when I started going through my tattoo journey. You probably know this is like, dude, you don't want to go to somebody that can get you in. Oh, just sit down. We could do it right now.
Oh no,
you want to get into somebody who's has a good rep, who has a good, portfolio. Mm-hmm. And that's how my guy was. I called him up and I said, hey dude, I want to get this, I have a tattoo that I want to get covered up. And he was like, all right, I can get you in about a month and a half. And I was like, what the hell, man, month and a half? But my buddy who went to him and he has great work. He's like, dude, trust me, it's going to be worth it. You don't want to go to a guy that can go get you in like right now.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. He was actually the guy, Jason. The first tattoo I got from him, it took like 3 months to get in with him.
Yeah. So those are the guys. I'm not saying everybody's good that makes you wait, but in my experience, a lot are.
Yeah. Then the wait. Yeah. And then, I gave him a DEA card and he's like, oh, come back for it again, So the second time I went there, and then the third time, my last tattoo going to him, he's actually the 4th tattoo artist that I've seen. But my last tattoo, he did out of basically a garage. He was like, just meet me over here. I don't want to comply with all these stupid COVID stuff. Let's just do it. I'm like, okay, let's go. You know, and it was nice and quick, not painless, but
they're just addictive, man. But I love them.
In here, that hurts.
No, this is the one that hurt me, dude. So I got like a little rosary because I'm Catholic, and so it kind of wraps around right here. But right here, I mean, the right here was hard too, but this was the most painful right here because the skin's very thin.
Yeah,
dude, I was almost in tears. I was like, why I got a whole arm now, and this is in the ditch. The ditch right here hurt a little bit, but nothing compared to Said this right here. That was the most painful. I guess people are different, but that was the most painful for me.
You got any rib tattoos? The rib hurts.
I don't.
I have 2 on each
See,
side,
there you go.
and it basically vibrates your whole body. It's
yeah, I can't imagine.
Not fun. But listen, it's almost like, people are always like, oh, you're a cop. All cops have tattoos. I don't have any buff tattoos. Please don't tell me you got a buff tattoo. You have one? Okay, good.
No.
I know guys that put their own shield on their back.
No. I don't do that, dude. I don't want, no, why do that?
I don't know.
That's like putting in, that's like putting all this identifying stuff on your body. I don't want people to know.
Best part, he was an undercover in narcotics, and he's got his shield and his number on his back.
No.
What are you doing?
I mean, I know you're proud and stuff like that. I wouldn't. I mean, everybody's each their own, but I wouldn't do it. It's like putting a girlfriend's name on your arm or something like that. I mean, it's like, how do you know this shit's not going to work? If it goes south, I'm not trying to sound negative, but why are you doing that?
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, you never know. So anyway, preference, brother.
Definitely preference. Yeah, definitely preference. But so after Lamar PD, you went to Louisville PD.
Yeah, I went to Louisville, and I ended up my career there. So I back on patrol, street supervisor, some other units that were available there. School resource officer.
Traveling again. Also, you had to travel to get there as well. You had to move your whole family, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I had to move my whole family from Lamar. Good point. So it's about another 3 hours away in Louisville. So Louisville is about 40 minutes northwest of Denver. And it's, if you're familiar with, like I just mentioned, Boulder's right down the road. And then
my brother's in Boulder, so he's there, yeah.
Yeah, so it's really close.
Okay.
But great city, great department, a little bit bigger than Lamar, about 30-something cops, but still relatively small. Now, different demographic, different types of crime, a lot more property crime, financial crimes and stuff like that. Drugs, a little bit of drugs. And we had our, people on people crime too, but a lot of it was just property crime. So, but I had a great time. It was a great time with the PD. And then in 2019, I was like, I teach too. And I don't know if you read that about me.
Yeah,
so I teach on the college level.
But what do you teach?
And so I teach criminal justice, intro to criminal justice, corrections, a lot of, foundational kind of criminal justice classes, do some stuff in the academy. I talk about use of force and, mindset and communication, leadership, and all this other stuff that now with COVID, I don't know how it is at where you're at, but it's kind of more, some of the stuff like skills and shooting obviously is not virtual, but they really kind of cut down a lot on the actual academy time, right. At least where I was teaching. So it's, it's a lot more virtual, but there is a portion that's, in classroom, but it's all weird out here in California, or I said California, which technically Colorado is. No, I'm not going to get political, but in Colorado, it's 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 a little bit more restrictive out here. So it was funny. So, dude, I was down in Arizona really quick, digressing a little bit. I was down there visiting family for the last couple of days. I just got back yesterday, and I went into a store in just outside of Scottsdale, and I walk into the store, and everybody's looking at me. And I got my mask on. Good little troop. And majority of the people didn't have masks on. They're looking at me like I have a second head. So I'm like, well, the mask mandate, if you know this, maybe you don't, it's lifted in Arizona.
Right. That's incredible. I wish
some people still wear them, but you don't have to.
Right.
And so I was like, I'm taking this thing off, damn it. I'm going to walk around the store. Interesting. Digress a little bit.
Probably felt so nice.
Yeah, it did.
So, when COVID first started, I guess it was maybe 3 or 4 months in, I walk into Ace Hardware. I'm not sure if you guys have Aces out there.
Oh, yeah.
But okay, so I don't know how big it is, but I walk into Ace Hardware. I just casually walk in. I'm not wearing a mask. I'm not paying attention. And I feel someone creeping behind me. I'm like, what is going on right now? And I turn around. It wasn't one person. It was 6 people following me through the store.
Why?
So I turn around and I go, what is everyone doing? Why are you following me? And this woman goes, where's your mask? And I go, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have one. And then, I just ignored it. I just kind of went about my business. They're like, we're calling the cops right now.
Oh my God.
Get out of the store.
I am a cop.
Yeah, I didn't even bother. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to leave because I don't have a mask. I just didn't even bother.
Now, how is it? Because you're up in New York City, right? You're in where, I don't know where exactly where you're at.
I live on Long Island.
So you're living in Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens? Seriously, because I hear that all the time. Well, I'm going to call the cops. Did the cops actually show up and enforce this stuff? Okay.
I mean, I'm not on
I mean, I guess in certain circumstances, like if it's a concert or some large venue or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not on patrol in the city, so.
Oh, okay. See,
I'll ask my wife. My wife is. I'll see if they actually do anything. But like out here, I haven't seen any of the cops enforcing it at all.
Yeah. You know, most cops are like, come on.
Exactly.
You know, most cops are, I mean, they're just doing what they're told to do. But, you know, I don't know. Maybe it's just
Listen, everyone has their own safety standards. Yeah. I mean, I'm on the board for a little league out here. And we have a very big little league. And we have all these rules and regulations for the masks. It's wild. And we're playing outdoors. We're outdoors.
Nature is disinfectant outdoors.
Yeah,
my wife and I were on a trail here in Colorado, last year, around the same time right now. And I'm jogging, or I'm not jogging. Somebody is jogging and they pass us and he's got a mask on, jogging. He's got a mask on. I'm like, and so my wife and I are outside, we're on a trail. I'm not wearing a mask. She's not wearing a mask. And he turns around and says, it'd be nice if you wear a mask. I'm like, why don't you shut the F up? Mind your own business. I mean, it's like, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, geez, am I hurt? We just passed.
Yeah.
Are you that paranoid that something's going to happen?
Oh my God.
We're outside.
Yeah. What are the chances of it happening outside? Exactly. It's like
very, very slim. Look, I'm not a doctor, but obviously, but and if you're that afraid, just stay home.
Yeah.
Just stay home.
Yeah. Stay home. Keep your opinions to yourself and your little.
And if you have a mask, again, I'm not trying to get in, but since I finished the story, I'm just thinking, if I don't have a mask on and you have a mask on, why do you care if I don't have a mask on? You're supposedly protected, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Well, you got to be considerate of other people. So now I got to worry about how you feel. Not that I don't have my own problems. I got to worry about your feelings now. When the science, Fauci himself and the CDC saying every other day he's flip-flopping. He's like, well, they work. Wear 4 of them now with some goggles. That's really going to, I mean, I see people like that here in Colorado. I saw a guy at the gym a couple of weeks ago. He's got 2 or 3 masks on. He's on a treadmill and he's got goggles on or safety glasses like Carpenter.
Are you serious?
I'm like, what are you doing, dude?
Oh my God.
And then, 10, 15 years from now, he's going to go to his doctor. You got some lung problems. I don't know why.
Yeah.
You got some respiratory issues. I have no idea why.
We live in a strange time. It's a strange time. And I'm sure it's just going to get stranger.
Yeah. Jeez.
Like that show Stranger Things, which is
it's great. Great. I love it. It's cool. Are they going to come out with are they going to come out with another season?
Season 3, yeah.
Oh, there you go. But the kids are all old now.
Oh yeah, in real life. You got
to be getting up there.
Yeah, but I think they filmed all those shows prior.
Yeah.
They had to have.
Well, it's like It too. Remember I don't know if you've seen those because then they were growing up. I don't know if it was the same actors that, it was different obviously, but it showed them when they were kids and then they're adults. That was a creepy ass movie too.
Yeah. I don't like those movies. Like remember Killer Clowns from Outer Space, all those weird Critters. Remember those movies?
Like, yeah. Critters and
man, those movies were fucked up. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. There was one scene in it where the guy comes out of the urinal and killed somebody. I freaked out. I had nightmares for years about that.
Yeah.
I have nightmares over E.T. also, but that's a whole other story. That's but that's it. So back to your career for a second. Well, thank you for your service again in the military and everything you did in law enforcement. And obviously you definitely followed in your father's footsteps, and you had a dream of becoming a police officer because of your family. Would you do that all again?
Yeah, I would, because I wouldn't be where I'm at today without it. I think we all get to a place in our life, brother, where we wish we could have made better decisions and stuff, but that's life. And that's what molds you. That's what develops you. And I've had many failures and I've had many successes, but the successes you don't learn from, right? I mean, it's the failures. So I don't regret anything. I don't, and I wouldn't change it because I wouldn't be here talking to you if I didn't take the route that I did. And I'd do it all again. I'd do it all again.
That's awesome. So with everything with that, everything you've seen in your career, everyone has a different definition for this, but I'd love to hear what yours is going to be. What is a hero to you?
I think a hero is somebody that you obviously, has strength, fortitude, is courageous. And again, I'm kind of going on a little bit, but I don't think I can sum it up in one word. I think a hero is somebody who's trustworthy, courageous, has fortitude, but it's also somebody who can reflect deep in themselves, him or her, and say, yeah, I'm not perfect. I think a hero is somebody who can come out and say, I'm flawed, in a lot of ways. I'm broken in a lot of ways, and come forward with that. A hero is somebody who is courageous and willing to bring that forward, like we've been talking about. That's a hero, and it's easy, for, you see cops, and we run into shit where people are running away from. That's a hero. We all know that. But I think behind the scenes, a hero is somebody who, again, that can self-reflect and say, I have my strengths and weaknesses, and I have stuff that I struggle with, but I'm a work in progress, and I'm constantly evolving. I'm constantly becoming better. And I know I gave a long definition, but I think, that's, in summation, I think that's, my definition of a hero. And again, I know it's different parts, but I can't just sum it up in one word. I think it's a culmination of things that makes a hero, a hero.
I knew I would love that answer from you. I knew it. You know what? It's so humble, such a humble answer. And you're right. Someone that's able to recognize their flaws is a true hero.
Well, that's one of the things in leadership, brother. I mean, I learned that a long time ago. I learned that, every one of the big good traits of a leader is humility. Mm-hmm. You have to be able to, say, look, I don't know, or I made a mistake. And some of the biggest things I've seen with leaders I've worked under is they don't want to admit those. Now, you don't want to be a leader or somebody in a position of authority where you're constantly don't know the answer. That's a different problem. But you want to admit, when you don't know, or, you're going to find out you don't know. But I think too many leaders out there, or people in positions of authority, when they say, I don't know, they view it as a sign of weakness. I view it as a sign of strength. Now I'm going to get the answer for you, dude. I'm going to be back. I'm going to have an answer for you by end of duty today. But so many people, again, just in my experience, they don't want to admit that because, it's a sign of weakness to them. And that's, I think it's the opposite side. I think it's humility. I think it's vulnerability. I think vulnerability is a damn superpower. I think you have to be vulnerable as cops, and first responders. Now, I'm not talking about safety and shit like that. That's different. I'm just saying with your emotions and things like that, and, recognizing when you're wrong or you're suffering, like we've been talking about. You got to be vulnerable. That's how you survive, man. You can't hold shit in. So I think, again, that's a culmination of in my view, what a hero is. Because too many of it, our brothers and sisters out there, brother, this, are suffering. And I'm not saying they're not heroes. Every day they put on the badge and they go out there, they're heroes to me. But they need to, come forward with the problems that they're dealing with more, and just make that complete hero package, because like we talked about, that too many people are committing suicide, and it's unacceptable.
No, thank you. I think that was amazing. That was amazing. So before we end the show, and this has been an incredible one. Loved it. Where can people find you? How can they connect with you? How can they contact you?
Great question, brother. Again, it's been an honor to be on your show, and anything I can do for you, please let me know.
Thank you.
They can find everything on cjevolution.com. I got my shows there. I got my coaching. Although I'm not doing a lot of in-person stuff with speaking, it's all right there too. All my social media is linked up on that site. Again, cjevolution.com. I got an ebook up there if you want a copy of my book. I should have mentioned it before and I forgot. It's a little book that I wrote for first responders and criminal justice professionals. And I can send you a copy, brother, if you want one.
Yeah, please. Please.
I'll send you a copy of it. Give me your information off the air. But if you want a free ebook version of it, just go to the website. Again, it's there. You can download it. And I wrote this when I retired, and it's, I wrote it for first responders and criminal justice professionals. Really, it's really for anybody. It's applicable to any career. But since I came from law enforcement, I wrote it targeted at law enforcement. So
good. Awesome. So last question I'm going to ask before we end the show, and you can have fun with this, take it a serious route, whatever you want to do. I'm not sure which way you're going to go with it, to be honest. But if you could have one superpower, and because this is the Heroes First podcast, and we ask a lot of questions about heroes, I like to have a little bit of fun with it. what would your superpower be? What's the first thing that popped in your head?
Invisibility.
Why?
Dude, think of sneak around, do shit. People don't know you're there. You know, I've always been fascinated, and I've been asked that before, and I answered the same way. You know, I would love to be invisible, you know, just to kind of, and I know it's going to sound creepy and stuff, just kind of lean in on conversations, what people are talking about, shit like that. Just kind of, you know, be nosy and stuff like that. I think invisibility would be pretty cool, man. I think it would, you know, appear when you want to, but not be invisible all the time. But that would probably be my superpower. Maybe it sounds weird.
No, it's a fun one. Listen, there's no wrong answer.
It's goofy. It's a goofy one.
Yeah, there's no wrong answer.
Yeah.
No wrong answer. But hey, Pat, it was a pleasure to have you on the show. And for everyone listening, thank you all for listening to this episode of Heroes First Podcast with Patrick Fitzgibbons. Pat, absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Hey, brother. Thank you so much. Keep up that fantastic work.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Heroes First Podcast with Robert Garland. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from the show. Make sure to like, rate, share, and review. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, make sure to visit fundthefirst.com and follow us on social media at fundthefirst. See you next time.